All right guys, so at last video that I came out with was the PvP build video, and you guys enjoyed that video. Some of you guys personally messaged me letting me know how thankful you guys were, but that you guys wanted me to come out with the video talking about PvE next time. And that is exactly what this video is about. We're going to be talking about what is the best gear for PvE, what is the best skill set that you should be using for this PvE set build, what specialization traits you guys should be going for to bring out the best out of this build. And of course, we're going to be also diving into what companions you guys should be going for and what Omega cards are really going to push you up to that next level. So with that being said, guys, make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, because I try my best to bring you guys the latest information and guides and builds for Marvel Future Revolution. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that sub. Let's get right into it. All right, guys, starting off with the cheat sheet right here. As you can see, just like my last video, I made a cheat sheet for PvP. This one is the PvE version of it. Now, in the right, we have the best for non-regional. In the middle, we have the best for regional. And in the all the way to the left, we have the best for special gear. Now, the skill set rotation that I will be talking about in this video will work with all these three. Same thing with specializations and everything else. So you're going to want to go for one of these three, depending where you are. Some people still are relying on just going for non-regional, so I included that as well. But the majority of you guys are going to be wanting to aim for Exandorth. Now, if you are a whale, go for that steampunk, because that is the best of the best for PvE. And if I was whaling out, I would be going for that steampunk, hands down. Now, as you guys can see here, that we're rocking with the 3-set crit damage 34.7, which that's going to be crucial when it comes to PvE, since you're going to be facing a lot of mobs and then dealing with bosses. That is the main thing that we are focusing at when we're building our PvE gear. Now, if you look at the bottom here, all of these have Hex Energy class +6, meaning Hex Energy is going to be your baby, your bread and butter. So you bet your ass we're going to include skills that have Hex Energy. Now, honestly, there are some other gear that is also pretty good. For example, Hydra is pretty much the same thing as Exander, except on the 3-set, you get defense pierce instead of crit damage. But I chose Exander over Hydra because of the crit damage part, and that's going to be, you know, in defense pierce in PvE is not doing the trick, and crit damage is more important when it comes to PvE. Unless there's like an invasion where there's a boss where you need to have defense pierce, but there's not too much of that going on right now. So the majority of the time you're going to want to have crit damage instead of defense pierce. And don't forget, guys, pay attention to what rolls you guys get on all your gear. Because sometimes you guys are looking for the gear that everybody's trying to get and not realizing that you have a perfect set with god rolls on it, but because it's not the one that everybody's aiming for, you're gonna throw it away in the trash, when in reality you should be using that. Because when you have, I'd rather use regional gear that has perfect rolls that is not recommended as the best, instead of Exander with okay rolls on it. I'm gonna rock that Hydra or New Stark City instead of Exander, because of New Stark City I was able to get godly rolls on each of the gear pieces. So you guys always want to pay attention to that part as well. But now let's continue on with this video. Now, before we continue on with the skills, I just want to give a big shout out to Cat Daddy for really helping me out with this video. So he really came in and helped me a lot when it came down to making this video for you guys. And this is the rotation that he told me about. I tested this, I fell in love with it. So now this is the one that I use for PvE now. So this is the one that we're going to go with, because I haven't found one that does better than this. Now, I am rocking Dark Domain gears. So as you can see, the Dark Domain bonuses are for Dark Domain. But here is a picture of Cat Daddy's skill rotation, and he is rocking the Exander's gear set. And these are the bonuses that he's getting with the level 15. So you're seeing how much damage these skills do once you're max level for the skill. So for our first skill, we're going to want to go with the Hex Pinpoint. Now, the Hex Pinpoint focuses the Hex energy into a single target to deal 548 damage to the enemy nearby and pulls them in. But if you are rocking the Xander's gear and you have that skill to level 15, the damage shoots up all the way to 795% damage. So that is a pretty hard skill. As you can see, it does get up to 3 targets or a group. So if there's a group of people, and as you know, in PVE, you're gonna fight a lot of hordes. So this skill right here, and the cooldown for this skill is not that bad. Now for our second skill that we will be using is the Hex Lightning. Now this one does even more damage than the previous skill with the same amount of cooldown, except this one has a pretty high stamina consumption, but the damage that you will be putting out is 1122% damage when you get this skill all the way up to level 15. I have it at level 11, that's why it shows as 805. Plus you add that bonus that the Xander gear set gives you. So of course this is a single target skill, but this one right here is going to be your bread and butter when it comes to super villains when you're doing against bosses. Now for our third skill, we're gonna go with the Runic Absorption. Now with Runic Absorption, when you get this skill to level 15, the 356 damage that I have right here at level 10 shoots up to 429% damage to the enemies nearby. Now of course, if you guys can see the bonus effects that it also gives you, it decreases attack by 25% for 6 seconds with cursed targets use attack skills, deals damage equal to 15.85% of attack. This also inflicts Curse of Weakness for 5 seconds when the skill lands, making them unable to dodge for 3.5 seconds when the cursed target uses dodge skill. So for the first 3.5 seconds, if the skill lands and they try to use that dodge button, they won't be able to dodge, or just be sitting there. After that 3.5 seconds is over, it still deals damage equal to 15.85% of attack when cursed targets use dodge skill. So once that 3.5% is done and they're finally able to use dodge and they're still cursed, every time they use dodge, they'll get hurt. Now there's more to this. Now this also absorbs 15% of damage dealt as HP. So if you are able to do a shit ton of damage, 15% of that damage absorbs as HP, which is crazy. And that is why this one is at number 3 and one of the top skills to use for this build. Now number 4, the fourth one that we're going to be using is one of my favorite ones to use in PvE, especially towards enemies, and that is the Chaos Fear. Now the Chaos Fear does 125% damage at level 10, but when you get this to level 15, the damage shoots up all the way to 995% damage. Now this also hits them with status effects when the skill lands. For example, for 5 seconds, they're going to be getting up to 13% of attack per second. 13% of your attack is going to be damaging them per second for 5 seconds when the skill lands. So if you think about it like this, if you hit them and it lands, they're getting hurt and you're stacking your other skills, because once that is happening for 5 seconds, he's getting hurt, and then you're throwing more skills at them, stacking up on top of each other, and it does a lot of damage. This also causes instability when the skill lands by increasing the stamina consumption by 30% when they try to use a skill. This also consumes additional dodge gauge by 30% when using dodge. So every time they use a skill, when the skill lands, it's going to use more of their stamina, and when they dodge, it's going to take up more of their dodge gauge. So this right here is it's a must-have, man, because this is going to be really good to have. Plus this is a really good one for when you're going up against bosses or just tough enemies. Now last but not least, we got the 5th skill in the rotation, and that is called the Hex Strike. Now this focuses the Hex energy to lift up a huge object and swings it forward to them to deal 697% damage. Now keep in mind, this is at level 10, but once you get this to level 15, that damage shoots up to 1012% damage with the bonus that the Xander gear gives you. So as you guys can see here, it does a wide range. So when these big old balls come down on their faces, it does a good range. So if there's like a huge mob together, it's going to eliminate most of them. It's going to do a lot of damage to a lot of people in a small area. Now this one is also good for bosses that don't move too much, and you know that they're going to be standing there in that area. If you could just get them to stand long enough for them to get hit by all these balls, that's going to cause a lot of damage to them. This is towards the end of your rotation, so we were talking about the status effects that you'll be implying towards everything before you able to do this big mama jamma. It's gonna be crazy. Now that's why I love this skill set rotation. So thanks Cat Daddy for showing me this, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Now, when it comes to specializations, it's pretty much the same thing as the PvP, except for one change, and that is the one all the way down here. I would switch this one and put in the Essence Aptitude. This one right here increases all damage dealt to supervillains by 3% for 8 seconds. Obviously, it's at 0. Once this increases, it's going to do a lot more. The first one would be the High Speed Hex, which increases status effects accuracy rate by 25% and increases the accuracy rate by 25% when the battle lasts for 6 seconds. Now this one right here, second one, is the Hex Domination, which increases the damage dealt to immobile targets or targets with status effects by 21 to 24% at level 7 to 8. So obviously this is going to increase when you're at a higher level than this. And the last one we're going to be talking about here is the Energy Equivalent Exchange, which increases all skill damage dealt to enemies by 24% to 27% at level 8 and the required stamina by 24%. Now don't forget, when you're using this one, you want to make sure that you get stamina recovery on your boots or anywhere else you can get it. And if you are lacking in that, you might want to wait on this one, because if you don't have a good amount of stamina recovery, then you won't be able to use your skills as fast as you will want them, because you're waiting for your stamina recovery to recover too much of the time. So you might want to hold off on this until you get a good amount of stamina recovery. And if your question right now is, well, Andy, what is a good amount of stamina recovery? Well, a good amount of stamina recovery is if you don't have to wait too long for you to get your skills. If you notice that you're waiting too long for you to be able to use your skills, then you need to stop using this trait and switch it out for something else. Maybe Mystic Stamina, because this actually recovers stamina by a certain percentage once every 5 times a skill is used. So this right here will just gives you that boost until you're able to get a good amount of rolls on stamina recovery. That way you can finally be able to use this and not have to wait too long to use those skills. Now, when it comes to Omega cards, you guys know me and how I am about this kind of stuff. Go with what you have. When it comes to PVE, you want to make sure you're focusing on cards that are going to boost traits that you are lacking in. Let's, for example, you are lacking on critical damage, so adding cards in here like Vote for Loki that will increase your critical damage guaranteed would be one you want to add into it. Red Skull also does the same thing. As you can see, supervillain damage, stamina recovery, these are roles that you're going to want in this build. This one gives defense pierce, but the exclusive stat rolls stamina recovery. As you guys see, the stamina recovery for me is pretty damn good, so I'm able to use that active trait. But I am also rolling with what I got. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, hey guys, these are all the cards that you need, when in reality it's going to be really hard to get them, because you can either have to pull or farm them. When the best advice I can give you is go with what you got and always just try to add stuff that you really need a boost in. For example, if you're low on crit rate, you're gonna want to get a card that does critical rate. This one gives you critical damage, but getting a card, if once I get a card that has critical rate, I will replace one of these, because I would rather increase my critical rate. And anything that has supervillain damage is also really good. This one came cooldown decrease. Cooldown decrease is also a good one to get. I got lucky with this one, supervillain damage decrease. Luckily it's at 4, and hopefully when I rank this up, this PvP damage will change to a non-PvP. Any of these two, both of these two. I'd rather have crit damage or something else on here, but at least the exclusive stat was total damage. So just when it comes to Omega cards, go with what you have, go with stuff that you're lacking, and hopefully this right here is a good one. Hopefully this is a good explanation of this. That's how I do it. This is how I don't go in here and be like, what's the best card set to go for, or this and that. If you guys want to do it something like that, you can always just go to like card sets in here. Like it literally tells you all the bonuses and stuff like that. Then you just go through here and figure out which one's the best one. Like this Xander's one is not that bad because of the stamina recovery and then ultimate gauge recovery. Not bad, not bad. But just stuff, this is where you would go to figure out if you want to look for a card set. But going with what you got and just putting the best ones that would, you know, really help out your build would be the best route. Now, companions. Now, if it's, I understand a lot of people are low spenders or free to play, or just new players in general. You guys might not have your companions at this level. Just go with what you got as well. Always remember, go for Ultron. Ultron one is the easiest one that you can get. That's really good because you get 30 shards every time you defeat Dormammu. So now we have 10 heroes. So that means that we can defeat Dormammu 10 times at 300 a pop. You do the math. That is a lot of shards. So, and it's free to play, friendly. For me, I just went with what's going to increase my traits more, and obviously Hulk is very OP in everything. So Hulk, you know, Hulk, I'm rocking the Hulk. But when it comes to companion, same thing with the Omega card, just go with what you got. Look at the stats. If you rock with the Punisher, Punisher actually gives you super villain damage plus a certain amount of percentage. So he's all about PVE, super villain damage. This guy will be good, but go with whatever you got. All right, guys, there you guys have it. That was the video for the best PVE build for Scarlet Witch. We went over the gear sets, the skill classes, the skill rotation that I would use, the specialization traits that I will aim for. I showed you guys how to think when building your Omega cards and what kind of Omega cards you guys should go for. Same thing with companions. Basically, just go with what you got. And don't forget, guys, have fun playing. It's not a rush. Play her, have fun with her. Trust me, it's gonna be a long wait before the next hero comes out anyways. So, and we can't transmute to her yet. So unless you guys are spending money, enjoy her. Don't forget, keep her at level 90 to 100 in there. It's a sweet spot. That's where I'm keeping my Scarlet Witch because the Omega War matchmaking are way more better. I'm not dominating, but I'm not dying fast. So that's just, it makes it fun. So, and that's why I'm keeping my Scarlet Witch at level 90. So let me know what you guys think about this build video though. If there's something better that you think is better than this, you comment that down below, man. You comment that down below. Let me know. Spread that knowledge. We're helping each other out here. So I'll catch you guys next time.